Josh Green here for Seconds Out with Tony Sims. We're finally here. Fight week is finally here, back in the bubble. Looking forward to another great weekend of boxing.
Yeah, CONOR Benn's in fantastic condition. He's had a lot of notice for this fight, but he was back in the gym early January, and it's a big fight for him. Samuel Vargas is a big name, as we know. He was over on these shores when he fought Khan in 2018, and he gave a great account of himself, put Khan on the floor, and so all the British public know all about him, and he's literally been in with a who's of boxing in the States, so everyone knows who he is, what he's going to bring to the table. He's a very tough man, very tough. It's 12 rounds, first time CONOR Benn's going to do the 12 round distance, and as I said, he's in great condition, he's ready to go.
In terms of calibre of opponents, he had a tough one against Formella last time out. Was this the highest calibre opponent he ever faced?
I would say so, but they're like different type of opponents, and that's why, I like this fight, because it's a different type of opponent from the last opponent. They're both, good names. Obviously, Formella was the IBO champion, and he beat a very good, unbeaten South African for that title as well. And he went over to the States and fought Sean Porter in a tough 12-round fight. Got well outpointed, but he was like a back foot, neat, tidy boxer. Presented a different problem with Vargas, who don't take a backward step. So it's two different type of fighters. And what CONOR Benn, needs more than anything is the experience of fighting different fighters, and moving up the level all the time. And with Vargas, he's got a very experienced opponent, and he needs to, fight these people, get them out of the way, and then just move on up another level again.
Yeah, you said it's been a long camp, and we've just seen CONOR in there. He looks in good shape and in excellent mood. And is he in the perfect place for this fight?
Yeah, I would say so. He's had a great camp. He's had good sparring in, and to replicate Vargas, and he's mentally he's in a good place. So yeah, he's ready to step up to the plate, and he's obviously expecting a tough night. A tough fighter. You don't just go down easy. He's never been knocked out. He's been stopped on his feet. He's not been knocked out before. So we're expecting a tough night, and it's the sort of night that brings you on as a fighter. This sort of fighter's experience, it brings you on.
Obviously, you don't want to be looking past Samuel Vargas, but where would a win put CONOR Benn on the world scene in his weight class?
Well, he's ranked in the WBA and the IBF, CONOR, and so he's got rankings in two world bodies, but it's nice to get a win over an opponent that a lot of the Americans know about, a lot of the world know about, as they've seen him in with literally everybody, and it'd be nice for CONOR Benn just to get his name on the other side of the pond, really.
Do you forget sometimes how young CONOR is? I think I saw on social media the other day, it's 5 years since his pro debut. Still so young and achieved so much in the sport already.
Yeah, and when you think of it as well, like he turned pro as a teenager, and he was very raw as well. So, like the British public have watched him go from basically a raw novice in the course of 5 years to a more rounded fighter, and we hope to see him gain the experience of fighting, as I say, these sort of opponents, and become more a rounded fighter when he moves on to the proper world level scene. And we're just looking forward to his career, moving on with his career, and we'll think about the next opponent after Vargas. We'll sit down with Eddie and go through the next opponent. But as you say, you can't take your mind away from Vargas. He's going to be a tough night's work.
Just moving on to some of the other fighters. Joe Cordina, good win the other week. How's he feeling, and how's he reacted over the past few days and weeks? Yeah,
it was a win to get out of the way, but I think Joe was like nearly out 18 months, obviously with an hand injury, and I think Joe was a bit disappointed in his performance. Really, I think he felt that he could have, boxed better on the night. He felt like he couldn't. Maybe it was his timing, or he couldn't let his hands go properly. But I think, I think it was a good 10-round fight. The guy was a decent fighter. He's only lost 2 fights for the European title, and I just think he was a good 10 rounds under his belt. And just move on to the next fight. And I think you'll see more of Joe Cordina in his next fight.
Because of, you say, the 18 months out, will you be looking to get Joe out fairly quickly, and you'll look at re-erect the?
Yeah, I think Eddie Hearn's looking to put him back out in July, August, and possibly the fight camp. Eddie's talking about doing fight camp again. So I think he'll be out July, August.
Okay. Just touching on the Josh Kelly defeat from not so long ago against David Evanesian. Just your reaction to that, really, and what that does in terms of Josh Kelly moving forward.
Yeah, obviously it was a bad defeat. A lot of people had Josh Kelly favourite to win the fight beforehand. And Josh Kelly, I've known him since the amateur days. He's got a lot of ability. He's very naturally skillful. He's got great ability. To me, and I don't know this for sure, I don't believe he's a welterweight. I don't believe he is. I think he's too big for a welterweight. I think he should move up a weight, maybe 2 weights move up. He's a big man, and he's got great ability, and I think he can come again. He's only young, and I believe if he moves up a weight, he could become a dangerous force.
I think Evanesian is one of the more underrated fighters at that sort of level.
Yeah, he's been there and done it. He's won a world title, and he's fought some good fighters, Lamont Peterson and Shane Mosley. He's got a lot of experience, and he'll probably move on to another world title shot now, and it was a great win for him. But I think Josh should come back at a higher weight, and he can stamp his authority at a higher weight.
Just touching on 2 other fighters, very well in terms of Martin J. Ward and John Ryder. Where are we with them? Will we be seeing them out fairly soon?
Yeah, we're really close with the Martin J. Ward fight now. He's going to fight a South African, Zinga Fuzali, for the final eliminator for the IBF title. It's just like where it's going to be. It could be in the States or it could be UK. I've got a meeting with Eddie Hearn on Thursday to sort it out, but we're close to doing the fight now, and it's just where it's going to be, really.
Mm-hmm. And what about in terms of John? Where's here?
John Ryder's fight has now gone to purse bids against David Morrell for the WBA super middleweight regular title, and that's gone out to purse bids this week. So within the next week we'll know who wins the purse bids between Matchroom and PBC, and then we'll know when that fight's going to be.
Just like to get your thoughts on 2 fights that haven't been made yet, but are ones that are planned for by fans, really, in terms of Errol Spence, Terence Crawford. In terms of super fights, it's the fight in America in particular that fans have been wanting to see for a long time. Do you think that happened, and how do you see it going if it was to happen?
I think every fan would love to watch that fight. They're the two best fighters in their division, and I see Terence Crawford talking the other day saying this fight will never be made. So I don't really know the politics behind what they've got going on between them, but he was sort of saying this fight will never happen. So, but for the fans' perspective, I'm the same as anyone else. I'd love to watch that fight. 2 great fighters, 2 unbeaten fighters. What a fight and spectacle that would be.
Just in the media recently, there's been a lot with Amir. He said he really wants that Kell Brook fight now. Do you think that's something that could go ahead?
Yeah, if Kell Brook wants to do it and Amir wants to do it, the fight can be made. It depends on them 2 really, but obviously they're coming into the twilight of both their careers, and it's probably a big money spinner and probably a last chance saloon fight for both of them to earn good money, and I don't see why not that fight can't be made. It's a shame that it wasn't made when they was both sort of in their peak or in their prime, because as you were sort of talking about Crawford and Spence, there was a time when them two was, you know, the best in the world maybe, and they were both from Britain, so it was a shame it never got made. But listen, you'd rather see the fight be made than them retire and never fight. And you know, it's be another great spectacle for the fans to watch.
Do you think that's still got the same pull as it once had, or maybe a little bit of a different audience wanting to watch that fight?
I think a lot of people still watch that fight. I think the British public will anyway, you know, because over the last few years there's been such a lot of talk about it. So I think the fight can be made. I mean, Kell's wanted to have been making that fight year after year, and it seemed like Khan never wanted to make that fight. But I don't think Khan's got much else where to go now and many places to go. So he's obviously calling it out for a last payday. But as I say, you know, it's a fight that the British public still want to see, and yeah, I do think a lot of people are still tuning into it.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Tony, and best of luck on Saturday to you.
No problem. Thanks.